Hari Om, this is Harshni Hariharan from Team Media Chinmaya Vidyalaya Kasaragod. It is my pleasure to interview the topper of our school, who is none other than Kshama Bhat. So first off, I would like to congratulate you on your performance in the 12th Cbse board exams. Your performance was absolutely commendable.
Thank you, Harshni. I'm actually over the moon to say that I'm a product of Chinmaya. And it's all because of the blessings from Pujya Gurudev Chinmayanandaji and Pujya Swami Vivekananda Saraswati ji.
Absolutely. So now I would like to delve a little bit deeper on your journey to scoring 99.2 percentage. So what was your reaction after seeing your results? Did you score what you expected?
So when the results first came out, I was actually busy doing something else, right? So my phone was on silent, and later I checked my phone and there were over 100 messages and nearly 6 missed calls, and all of them were about results. So I got quite excited, and then I called my mom, and then I got my admit card and checked the results. And throughout the entire process, I was quite chill. And when I saw the results, they were more than what I expected, so I was really happy about it. But honestly, I think my mom was more excited than I was. She was super happy about my results, and I expected something above 95%, but did not expect this high score.
Excellent. So can you tell us something about your family background?
Okay, so I come from a very small family of 3 people. So it's just me and my parents. And my father runs a business of his own, and my mother focuses on taking care of the family and the house. And yeah, it's just a small family of 3 people.
So, considering you have a rural upbringing, you must have had a unique path to success. So, can you show some insight upon your upbringing and how has it influenced your academic journey?
Okay, so I don't really think that my rural upbringing or my rural background made any difference in my school experience, because I had access to all the resources that I needed to do well in school, right? And one more thing is that some students might face a challenge, that is the absence of big coaching centers nearby. I never really thought of taking any outside coaching or tuition classes, so it never really bothered me. And about my upbringing, I think my parents did a really great job raising me. They are really cool parents, right? They are very accepting, they are empathetic, and they would just let me do my thing. They just wanted me to study and do nothing else. So, yeah, my parents supported me in every single field, and I'm really grateful for that, and I would not want to disappoint them in any manner, and that I think is a big part of my motivation to do better.
That's great. So, were there any, coming to your preparations, were there any resources or support systems that you felt were particularly useful when it came to your preparations?
So talking about resources, as I told you earlier, I had access to all the resources that I needed to do well in school. Our teachers provided us with lots of resources, study materials, like starting from notes, comprehensive notes and formula sheets, to question banks, sample papers, etc. Right, and our school also provided us worksheets towards the end of the academic year, and they were quite helpful. And I also referred to some YouTube videos, lots of YouTube videos for extra lectures, and I found lots of useful stuff online too. And talking about the classes, they were really fun, interactive, so I didn't really have to do much at home. Just listening to the classes were quite sufficient. And my friends were helpful too. They always supported me. We used to have these fun little study sessions. We studied very less, but we whatever we studied in those study sessions were very remarkable.
Okay, so who would you say encouraged you the most during your academic journey?
It's really hard to just pick one person. So first, let me talk about my parents, right? My parents are really great parents. They created a really chill environment for me to study. They provided me with all that they could, and they were there for me when I was stressed. They were there to celebrate with me when I did something great, and I'm really grateful for that. And my teachers too, they not just focused on our academics, but they also truly care about us, right? I remember this one incident. This actually happened on one of the board exam days. A few minutes before we entered the exam hall, I was not really confident about the subject that day. I was not really confident that I'd do well in that exam. So the teacher came up to me and she told me that I could do it. And it was so comforting at that moment. I felt really happy. And my friends too, they were also really great people, because whenever I scored good marks, they would celebrate for me. And that's quite surprising for me actually. But I'm grateful for everyone who was there for me throughout the journey.
That's great. So, what study habits or what study habits would you credit for your success in the CBSE 12th board exams?
I had a relaxed approach towards studies, right? I found this one cool principle online. It says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So let's take an example. Let's say you have a test tomorrow, right? There's a bunch of chapters you need to finish. So you have two choices. You can either stay up all night and finish the entire syllabus, or you could just identify a few key concepts and just put your efforts into understanding them. That would take less time. That would take less efforts, right? Let's say that these high yield concepts make up to 20% of your syllabus. So if you study these high yield concepts, what will happen is that you will know the majority of the content that you need to know to write the exam. So you will naturally get better results. One thing, because you know the things already, important things already. And second reason is that you got good sleep. You have enough energy to think and write the exam, right? I used to do this a lot, especially during the last few days, during the pre-boards, because I have this very bad habit of pushing things towards the deadline. And then I'd get really stressed about it. I don't have time. I have to sacrifice my sleep. But then I'd just study the important topics and write the exam. It was really helpful. I don't suggest putting things towards the end, but if you are in that situation, that works really good. And then second one is actually interesting. I never really understood why people were obsessed with taking pretty notes. I saw people like classmates, not just here, in other schools too, they would be obsessed with copying down text from maybe their textbook or some other reference book. They would copy it down to their notebook. They would spend time decorating it, right? I rarely took notes. I took notes only if I thought it was really important. And even during classes, when the teacher would say something, I would not take notes, because if I take notes, I'd be concentrating on writing. I would not be concentrating on what the teacher is saying, right? So I would miss out on a lot of stuff. So I never really took notes, and I think I saved a lot of time that way. And the third one I would say is that I had a really good habit of asking a lot of how and why questions. So I would, whenever the teacher says something, I'd be thinking, why is it like that? How is it like that? Why not this? Why that? Right? So I'd write it down on my notebook on the side. My notebook would be full of these questions, not the actual notes. It'd be full of these questions. And then I'd go home and I'd maybe Google it, or maybe ask the teacher about the answer. And about goal setting, I already told you that I push things towards the deadline, right? So I used to keep very strict deadlines for myself, and these deadlines, what they do is they create just the right amount of pressure for me to like keep me on my toes, so I'd perform better. And that was one more thing I did.
Okay. So, during the preparations, you must have faced some difficulties, right? So, what were these difficulties and how were you able to overcome them?
I faced many challenges actually, and the biggest challenge for me was procrastination. Right, I delayed my studying for a long time. I did other exciting stuff instead of that. Maybe watch a movie, or maybe just go out and walk around, waste time, right? Because it's more exciting and it's also low effort activities. So I used to do that a lot. That was a big challenge for me. And the other challenge was that it was really tough for me to focus sometimes. My thoughts would be foggy and I would not be able to think clearly. So that was also one more challenge. And then I also was dealing with constant colds. I took way too many sick leaves from school. I missed out on a lot of stuff like that. And talking about motivation, it's really difficult for me to stay motivated for a long time. So if I don't see progress, I'd get demotivated right away and I won't do anything for the next few days. So that was one more challenge. And the last one is actually quite funny, right? I'm really good at oversleeping. So sometimes, yeah, sometimes I would sleep up to 9 to 10 hours a day during school days, and all the time just vanished sleeping.
All those are very relatable issues. So, also, one thing I would really like to know is that how did you manage to balance your academic studies with your extracurricular activities and other personal interests?
So I have to admit that I'm not very good at time management. Right? So after school, every single day, I'd just drag myself home. The buses will be too crowded, and I'd feel really tired by the time I reach home. So when I finally reach home, I'll have no energy left, right? No energy left to do anything. I rarely did anything outdoors. And when I had a little bit of energy left, maybe a little bit of time left, I would do sketching. I'd maybe read some pages of a book, right? But those two were quite rare. So I did not really do much of extracurricular activities this year or last year because I was way too tired. And one more thing, I spent too much time sleeping. That's one more thing. So it took up too much of my time. And yeah, but according for this one, I would totally not suggest following my lead, because finding balance is really really important, right? So too bad that I couldn't do it, but I hope you find balance.
That's great. So, and also, what role did you think your parents or your teachers or your friends, you already mentioned it, but can you go and detail that? What role did they play in supporting you throughout your academic journey?
Our teachers, they definitely provided the academic support that we needed, but apart from that, they also truly care about us. They truly care about our well-being, right? So during the parent teacher meeting, our class teacher told my parents that I have to focus on my health first. That's not a normal thing for a teacher to say, I think so. Right? They would normally talk about academics or something like that, but she told me to take care of my health first. And I think that's really considerate of her, right? Truly caring about the student. And about my parents, as I told you earlier, they provided me with everything that they could, and they created a really chill environment for me to study. I didn't have to do anything else. I just had to study at home. So it was really nice for me. They were really good to me. And my friends, I told you, they were really supportive to me, and they also respected my choices. Sometimes I'd just tell them I need to study, or maybe I need to complete my record, and they would not force me to join them. They would just let me do my thing, and I'm grateful for that.
So, you have already talked a little bit about this, but did you follow any specific schedule or anything in particular, any timetable in the months that were leading up to the exam, the close months to the exam?
So I like my days to be really structured. So I divide my day into different parts, and I assign different tasks to different parts of my day. But each day, the schedule for each day depends upon various external factors. So I would make a new schedule for every single day. There is not one particular schedule that I followed every day, but it would depend, since it depended on a lot of factors, I would make a new one every single day. But if you want an example, during the pre-board days, I had not completed my syllabus yet, right? As I told you earlier, I did not complete my syllabus, and I was really stressed. So coming back from school, I'd be really tired, so I would sleep by 7 o'clock. Early, yeah. And then I'd wake up anywhere between 1 to 3 o'clock in the midnight. Yeah, morning, midnight. So it would be really calm and quiet. I could, if I open the windows, I can see the stars. I'd be in a really good mood, right? So if I wake up at 3, for example, I'd study from 3 to 8. When it's a holiday, I'd study from 3 to 8. That's one study session. That is for the toughest or the hardest topics, right? And then from 8 to 9, I do other things, whatever I need to do, maybe breakfast and all of that. 9 to 12, one more study session, for topics that are not so hard, but kind of hard, yeah. And then I take a 2-hour break, and then I'd start again. This study session is for quite easy topics, not so hard, quite easy. And then I'd take a break again, and then I'd have a 1 hour session at last. That would be for the easiest topics because I'd be sleepy by that time, so I'd do the easiest topics, or maybe I'd just spend my time doing some other things and then I'd sleep again. That was my schedule during the pre-boards. But then during the boards, it changed a lot. I would sleep for 9 to 10 hours every day during the study holidays. And since I got really good sleep, I was also in a really good mood and I could study a lot more. And that's about the schedule. But I didn't follow any particular schedule for a long time. It would depend on a lot of factors and I'd change it according to my needs.
So you strongly believe in the power of good sleep.
Yeah, that's it.
So you scored 100 not only in chemistry but also in mathematics. So did you give any special attention or follow any special techniques in both of these subjects to accomplish that?
I did not really follow any special techniques. As for chemistry happened to be one of my favorite subjects this year, right? So I was naturally interested in it and I was naturally motivated to study. And the more I studied, the more I understood the topics, the more interesting they became. And also problem solving in chemistry was really fun for me. So since I was naturally interested in it, I did not have to employ any special techniques. But for maths was actually quite difficult for me initially. It was quite challenging, and this might sound counterintuitive, but the more I struggled a lot for maths. I used to practice a lot initially, but the more I practiced, the more demotivated I became, and that was super frustrating for me. And then I just left that subject on the side. I focused on the other subjects. That was a really bad decision. But then I finally identified the problem, right? The problem was that my basics were not strong. I was not focusing on the basics, and I was also practicing the wrong kind of problems. I straight up jumped into higher level problems, difficult problems, and of course I wouldn't be able to solve it, right? So once I identified that, I tried fixing it. I don't exactly remember how. Maybe I watched some YouTube videos or something. I fixed it and then I saw progress, right? So once I start seeing progress, I get super motivated, and then I practiced a lot. And I think that's how I scored well in maths. But all of this happened in the last 2 months of my preparation. That would be like January and starting of February.
So this is a question we all want to know. Like, what are your future plans? What career path are you aiming for?
Right now, I'm actually exploring different possibilities. I'm not really sure of what I want to do because there are so many different career paths, and I want to gain as much information I can about different career paths before I make a final decision, because I don't want to regret that later. I'd have to work for almost my entire life in the same field, right? So I don't want to make a bad decision. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, definitely. I am looking forward to where my opportunities will take me, but for now, I'm just going with the flow.
So this is my final question. What advice would you give to all of the other students who also aspire to excel academically like you did?
First advice, this is very cliche, but don't study hard, study smart. Because when you do smart work, you not only save time, you also save your energy, you save efforts, right? So that is one good advice, I think. Everybody says it, but I felt like I needed to say that. And the next one would be, this is actually a personal opinion, right? This is what I did. I like focusing more on the process. So here the process is studying, learning, right? My final goal was to learn, not to score the highest marks or whatever. So when my final goal is to learn, the process of studying or learning becomes enjoyable. It becomes interesting. And when it becomes interesting, it actually stays in your mind for a long time. Whatever you study, it stays in your mind for a long time. And I think that was one good thing that I did during my preparation. I never really focused much on results because I think the process is something you can control, something that is under your control, but the outcomes may sometimes depend on some other factors that you cannot control, right? So focusing on the process is one good thing you can do, and then staying open-minded is very important when it comes to learning, not just the school subjects, just in general, right? You may want to learn a new language, or maybe you want to learn a new skill or whatever. So when it comes to learning, I think having an open mind is really, really important. So you must always be open to the possibility that you could be wrong. You should always be open to the idea that you don't know everything, right? Nobody knows everything, and there's always space to learn. So when you acknowledge that, you create more space for you to learn. And if you learn more, you become better, right? And the last thing, this is also very cliche. Remember that if you fall, you have two choices, right? So you can either stay there, you can get up, you can do whatever you want. And such choices are provided in almost every aspect of your life. And we are just not aware of it. We are not aware that we are given such choices. Once you become aware that you are actually given choices, it becomes easy for you to make wise choices. So be aware. That's one last advice. Thank you.
So that was my last question. So thank you, Kshama, for your valuable insights. So do you want to add something?
Yeah, I thank our Vidyalaya, and I'd also like to thank the team media for providing me such a great opportunity to be on this great platform. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Hariom, this is Harshini from CV Media, Chinmaya Vidyalaya Kasaragod.